She texted her friend, "I'll be back in an hour." That was the last anyone heard from her. She was found 3 hours later, naked, lifeless, and tossed like trash on the side of the road. He paid her. And then he took everything else. Who was he? Why did he do it? And how did he almost get away with it? You're about to hear a story that questions morality, justice, and humanity itself. Understood? Here's a long, emotionally resonant, human-like narrator voiceover for the opening hook, written in a raw, suspenseful documentary tone for the video titled "She Sold S**X to him and he took her life after they finished. She told her friend she was just stepping out for a few hours. Said she'd be back by midnight." Her voice didn't shake. There was no hesitation in her tone. Just another quick job. Another name in her phone she'd probably forget by morning. She wore her favorite lashes, touched up her lip gloss, and sent a winking emoji just before stepping into the cold. By 2 a.m., her phone went dark. By sunrise, she was found with no ID, no clothes, and no heartbeat. He left her by the edge of the highway, legs twisted, hair soaked in rainwater, her face pressed against the gravel like she didn't belong to anyone. Like her life was disposable. Like no one would miss her. But someone did. In fact, more than one person did. Her mother called her phone 3 times that morning. No answer. Her sister drove to her apartment and sat on the steps, waiting. Friends messaged her on Snapchat, assuming she was asleep. The silence didn't make sense. She always responded. Even when she was tired. Even when she was upset. She never just vanished. By the time the detectives knocked on her mother's door, the sun was already beginning to fade. They didn't say much. Just a name. A location. And a quiet apology that felt too rehearsed. Her mother collapsed before they finished the sentence. This wasn't the first time someone like her was found like that. But something about this case, something about the way it unfolded, left scars that still haven't healed. There were questions. There were holes in the timeline. And there was a man who thought he could silence her, bury the truth, and carry on like nothing ever happened. But he underestimated who she was. And what her story would become. Because tonight, we're walking back through every minute of her final hours. Every step she took. Every lie he told. Every mistake that cost her everything. We'll examine the tapes. We'll retrace the calls. We'll hear from the people who loved her. The ones who warned her. The ones who wish they had done more. This is more than a crime. This is the life of a woman who made choices in a world that punished her for them. A woman who thought it was just another night. Another hour. Another stranger. But this time, she never made it back. And now, it's time to find out why. Stay with us. Because the answers are buried beneath every second that passed between the moment she got into his car, and the moment the world forgot her name. Until now. It happened in Detroit. Early spring, 2019. The nights were still cold, but the streets never slept. Between the sirens and streetlights, between the boarded windows and pulsing neon, people were moving. Fast. Quiet. Watching. Disappearing. Her name was Tiana Brooks. 26 years old. Loved poetry. Laughed with her whole body. Raised by her grandmother on the West Side. She had dreams once, about opening her own salon, maybe even designing clothes, but life didn't wait. And bills didn't pay themselves. So, she made decisions. Choices she never glamorized. But choices that kept her phone on, her fridge full, and her little sister in school. She wasn't reckless. She was careful. She didn't walk the streets. She used encrypted apps. Burner numbers. Safe drop locations. And she never got into a car without checking the plates, sending her location, and setting a timer on her phone. But that night, she broke her own rule. That night, something changed. The man's name was Devin Wells. 39. Quiet. Worked as a mechanic. Had a shop outside of town. No criminal record. Paid in cash. Messaged her through a third-party site with nothing but a zip code and an address. She didn't even reply at first. But after a slow week, and an overdue electric bill, she agreed. It was supposed to be quick. She told her cousin where she was going, just in case. Dropped a pin. Promised to check in. She never did. When the cousin tried calling, the phone rang once, then voicemail. When she messaged, it showed delivered, but not read. The clock kept ticking. And nobody came home. By morning, a sanitation worker on Route 57 saw what he thought was a pile of blankets near the storm drain. He parked the truck. Got out. Stepped closer. It wasn't blankets. It was Tiana. Motionless. Her body left like an afterthought. There was no purse. No phone. No wallet. Just a name tag stuck in the lining of her jacket. It read, T. Brooks. The letters smeared from the rain. When paramedics arrived, she was declared dead at the scene. No signs of robbery. No defensive wounds. No gunshot residue. But there was bruising, around her neck, around her jawline, and on the inside of her wrists. They knew she didn't go quietly. And just like that, the headlines were written. But the truth? It hadn't even started speaking yet. Because in the days that followed, the investigation would pull back layers no one expected. Digital footprints. Deleted messages. Surveillance footage that had been erased and recovered. And a man who thought no one would connect the dots. He didn't realize, someone already had. The investigation began the way most do, quiet interviews, log sheets, phone records. But it didn't stay quiet for long. Tiana's family pushed hard from the beginning. Her cousin, Chanel, gave the detectives her last message. A location pin. A screenshot of the profile she'd messaged on the third-party site. The name listed was redwolf_313. No picture. No bio. Just a location, Lincoln Park, Michigan. A place she'd never been before that night. When detectives traced the IP address behind the profile, it led them to a residential block in River Rouge. A single-story home with overgrown grass and a black pickup parked out front. The address belonged to Devin Wells. When officers knocked, he answered like he had nothing to hide. Calm voice. Clear eyes. Cooperative. Said he didn't know anyone named Tiana Brooks. Said he hadn't picked anyone up. Said he was home the entire night working on his taxes. But his story didn't match the timeline. Phone records placed him in the exact location of the drop pin between 10:23 p.m. and 12:06 a.m. His phone disconnected for 43 minutes. When it came back online, it pinged off a tower 2 miles from where Tiana's body was found. Still, no hard evidence. Nothing that would stick. So they dug deeper. Detectives pulled traffic cam footage from nearby intersections. One frame, grainy and dim, showed a black pickup turning down Burrell Street at 10:45 p.m. The same model as Devin's. Same missing hubcap on the rear driver's side. Next, they got a search warrant for his property. Inside his garage, they found a tarp. Stained. Folded tight and shoved behind an old tool chest. Lab results would later confirm, those stains were Tiana's blood. But the most damning discovery wasn't in the garage. It was in his phone. Forensics recovered deleted messages. Messages between Devin and multiple women. Some contained disturbing language. Others referenced payments. But one, dated the same night Tiana went missing, read simply, pull around back. Lights off. That line matched what Chanel said Tiana was told. At this point, detectives had enough for an arrest. But Devin? He was already gone. Neighbors said they saw him leave early that morning, before sunrise. He packed one duffel. Didn't say a word. Now he was missing. And as the search widened, so did the questions. Why her? Was it premeditated? Had he done this before? In the coming days, law enforcement would issue a statewide alert. Tips poured in. One caller claimed they saw Devin at a rest stop off I-75. Another said he was headed to Ohio, where he had distant family. But every lead came up cold. Until 5 days later, when a tow truck driver spotted a black pickup parked behind an abandoned building in Monroe County. Inside the cab, they found an empty bottle of pills. A wallet. And a note. The note was only 6 words long. I didn't mean for it to happen. But was that the truth? Or just the beginning of another lie? The discovery of the truck and the note changed everything. It was Devin's handwriting. That was confirmed. But there was no body. No trace of him anywhere in or around the building. And the pills? They weren't lethal. Over-the-counter sleep aids. Half the bottle still full. It was a setup. An intentional misdirection. He wanted to buy time. That same night, police expanded the perimeter. Drones scanned the wooded lots behind the building. Canines were brought in from Wayne County. They searched for hours. Nothing. Then, one officer spotted it, a ripped piece of fabric caught in the brush. Less than 200 feet from the truck. They followed the path. Broken twigs. Fresh shoe prints in the mud. At 2:13 a.m., flashlight beams landed on a man curled beneath a collapsed shed, covered in leaves, barely breathing. It was Devin Wells. He was arrested on the spot. Weak, but conscious. At the hospital, detectives waited. They wanted answers. He gave them none. For the first 72 hours, he refused to speak. No tears. No apologies. No explanation. When he finally asked for a lawyer, they knew the silence wasn't going to break. But the evidence kept piling. The autopsy confirmed the cause of death, strangulation and blunt force trauma. No gun. No knife. Just his hands. There were scratches on Devin's arms. Deep enough to draw blood. Defensive wounds. Tiana had fought hard. DNA samples found under her fingernails matched his. And then came the final piece. Surveillance from a nearby hardware store. 2 days before her death, Devin bought duct tape, plastic sheeting, and zip ties. All paid in cash. No ID. But the clerk remembered him clearly. He joked that he was fixing a leaky basement. That same plastic was later found near the body site. Half buried. Torn. Discarded like trash. When prosecutors saw the full file, they charged Devin with first-degree murder, unlawful restraint, and destruction of evidence. But even then, the question lingered, why did he target her? Was it a random encounter? Or had he been planning this? That answer would finally come out during trial. The courtroom was packed. Tiana's mother sat front row every day, her hands wrapped tight around a photo of her daughter from senior prom. The prosecution painted a chilling picture, of a man who used online platforms to lure vulnerable women. A man who wanted control. Who wanted silence. Who believed no one would come looking. But they did. The defense tried to shift the narrative. Claimed it was consensual. Claimed it was an accident. Claimed Devin panicked and didn't know what to do. But the jury didn't buy it. The messages. The tools. The DNA. The attempt to flee. 12 people. One unanimous decision. Guilty on all counts. As the verdict was read, Devin barely blinked. His hands rested on the table. His expression flat. But behind him, Tiana's family broke down. Tears. Hugs. The kind of grief that never fades, but in that moment, they had justice. Or at least, a version of it. He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Outside the courthouse, her mother spoke just once. She was strong, she said. She mattered. And he will never get to erase her again. In the days following the trial, news of the conviction rippled far beyond the courthouse steps. Tiana Matthews' name became more than just a headline. She became a symbol of voices silenced too soon, of lives reduced to footnotes in someone else's plan. But her family made sure she was remembered for who she truly was, not just how she died. They started a foundation in her name. The Tiana Hope Project, aimed at helping women in vulnerable situations find protection, support, and resources. Outreach programs were launched in Detroit and surrounding areas. Hotlines expanded. Volunteers stepped up. And her photo, that bright-eyed girl with the big laugh, stood at the front of every campaign. Her mother, Cynthia, refused to let grief be the final chapter. She had dreams. She had so much love to give, she told a local reporter. So now we love in her name. We help in her name. We remember in her name. But the aftermath wasn't only about healing. Questions still circled. Police quietly reopened a pair of cold cases involving women with similar profiles, women who were last seen meeting someone from an online ad and were later found dead under suspicious, unsolved circumstances. No charges have been filed, but Devin Wells' name has surfaced in both investigations. The fear is simple. Tiana might not have been his first. And she may not have been the only one who paid for silence with her life. The digital world offers anonymity. Quick connections. Hidden intentions. And in that space, predators thrive. What makes this case even more chilling is how ordinary it began. A few messages. A scheduled meetup. A payment agreed upon. And then, a life extinguished. The trial may be over. The sentence may be final. But for those left behind, the impact is permanent. Tiana's little sister, just 14, still leaves the porch light on some nights. She says it's for her sister. In case she ever comes home in a dream. And the family never took down the collage that was built during the search. It still stands in their living room, candles, framed quotes, dried roses, and that same red hoodie Tiana wore the last time she walked out the front door. Every year on her birthday, they visit the site where she was found. They bring sunflowers, her favorite, and play one of her voice notes on repeat. Her laugh fills the silence. Her absence never does. The story of Tiana Matthews is one of tragedy, but also of resistance, against being forgotten, against being reduced to a statistic. She was more than a victim. She was someone's daughter. Someone's sister. Someone's friend. And someone who deserved more time. What do you think truly happened that night? Was justice fully served? Do you believe Devon Wells acted alone, or is there more to uncover? We want to hear your thoughts. Share your theories in the comments. If this case moved you, or if you believe stories like Tiana's deserve to be heard, take a moment to subscribe. New episodes drop weekly. Real cases, real voices, and real questions that still need answers. Click the like button if you believe her story matters. And share this video. Let her name reach more ears. Let her face be seen. Let her voice, even in silence, echo beyond the courtroom, beyond the headlines, and into every corner of this world that needs to remember her. This is True Stories Unearthed, and we're not done yet. Stay with us. More truths are coming.